It's actually
12:28.
Yeah.
It's 12:28.
That's called rounding.
Ready?
Good. Call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda is roll call and disclosure of conflict of interest.
Molly Dimmick.
Present, and I'll need to recuse myself from agenda item number 4.
Okay. Chad Selenite.
Present, no conflict.
Stuart Ward.
Present, and I guess I need to disclose on agenda item number 5. I have had discussions with the landowner and brief discussions with the applicant on this, but it will not affect my decision tonight.
Crystal Ladson.
Present, no conflict.
Okay.
All right, so we have a quorum. Agenda item number 2 is preliminary business agenda clarification and approval.
Hal Jensen, Planning Director. No agenda clarification or modifications are needed this evening.
Okay, so we could have a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve? I'll second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Next up is approval of minutes from February 19th, 2025.
I didn't notice him.
I reviewed them and I didn't see anything that was out of the ordinary.
It all looked good. There was a couple names that were spelled wrong. I don't know if it's a huge deal. Where's that? On page 19, or 9, sorry, of 13. Dan Harrelson, his last name is spelled wrong. It's Harelson, and Devin Hillam is Devin. I think that was all I had on that. So, okay. So with those changes, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll motion to approve minutes.
Second it.
Okay, motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Of course.
With the other, yeah. Okay, now we'll go to the public hearing items. All right. Before we open the public hearing, let me read this guy here. Okay, this is a scheduled meeting of the Bannock County Planning and Development Council. The Planning Council serves in both a decision-making capacity and an advisory capacity to the Board of County Commissioners. Any decisions made by the Planning Council this evening may be appealed to the County Commissioners within 10 days of the decision. Please contact the Office of Planning and Development Services prior to the 10-day deadline for instructions for filing an appeal. The hearing procedures are as follows. The presentation will be made by the applicant with a time limit of 6 minutes. Staff report is presented by Planning and Development staff. Public testimony is given in favor of the proposal, neutral to the proposal, and then against the proposal. The applicant then may rebut the arguments offered by the opposition with a time limit of 6 minutes. Planning and Development Council will discuss the hearing subject. They may direct questions to the staff, applicant, and or the audience during this stage of the hearing process. The hearing is closed to oral testimony from the applicant and the audience. And then the hearing process is concluded and deliberations will begin. Rules and procedures for the public comment are as follows. This hearing is for public comment and is not an answer and question and answer session. Cannot read tonight. Everyone shall exhibit respectful behavior. There shall be no booing, hissing, or cheering. Anyone deemed unruly will be escorted out of the building. A sign-up sheet must be filled out to give oral testimony. Only one person may speak at a time and must be recognized by the chairman before speaking. You will be given a time limit of 3 minutes. Before you begin your comments, state your name and address for the record. If you are here tonight and you are angry, that's okay, but please don't take your anger out on the council members. We are charged by law to keep a clear record of the proceedings, consider the factual testimony, and to uphold county and state rules and regulations. Thank you for the courtesy to us and to others as we move through this process. Is there anyone who does not understand the procedures I've just read? Everybody's good. Okay. All right. Just need a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll file a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, agenda item number 4 is a conditional use permit for portable building sales. Kanda Dimick petitions for a conditional use permit to sell portable buildings. There will be a 12 by 20 portable office building for home business to sell handcrafted outdoor furniture, home items, and farm garden products. Facility proposes hours of operation from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Saturday. Property owners will be operating the business. The affected property is currently addressed as 9303 South Sunnyside, Lavaha Springs, 83246. And this is a decision tonight. So, can I have one of you time?
I don't have my phone in here.
Do you want me to? I can type. Yeah, time's up for 6 minutes.
That address you read, I thought was that different than what's on the applicant and the owner, because it said their house.
Oh no, that's what it's on the agenda, 9303 South Sunnyside.
8742 South Sunnyside.
Oh,
It is their house, I know
so
that.
that's the right address?
I'm not sure which one is which.
We'll clarify with the
Canada will
applicant.
tell us.
Okay,
Are you ready?
we're ready for
Do I
you.
go there?
Yep, come on up here, state your name and address, and then you have 6 minutes to tell us about your project.
All right. My name is Canda, C-A-N-D-A, Dimick, D-I-M-I-C-K. We do live at 8742 South Sunnyside Road, but we also own a second home on that road, which is at 9303 South Sunnyside Road.
Gotcha.
And so this lot will be at our second home, I guess that's down the road, that our son lives at.
Okay,
Okay?
perfect.
All right. Just a couple of his things so the property is in ownership of myself and my husband, Dan. We are operating this business as a family business. There will be, we've got formed a LLC with our son, Chance Dimick, and that's all been through the Secretary of State. So all that is on record there. It is an 80-acre parcel, but the amount of land that we're actually using for the lot is right behind the home, and it's around an acre. So it's not a big portion of the lot, or the parcel itself. On the picture, you can kind of see where there was a little field behind the house there. So it does include that field, and then it goes across that drive-in road and makes kind of a square right in that area. And so it is right behind the home. The land is all, you can see that it's green or gravel. There's no concrete planned in any of the projects, so none of the things will be on permanent foundations. It will all be gravel or grass, so it's going to be porous, it can handle runoff, that kind of thing. We have talked with the county and working on that. It currently does have a culvert on the access that goes into there, and so the culvert's definitely needing some maintenance, and I've talked with Tracy Hobson, who is our regional over Road and Bridge out there, and working with him on that. So that will definitely be taken care of. Also, if anyone has been out there and seen that, had any concerns, it's in the works. And whatever we have to do there, we're willing to do. The other thing is, so these are portable buildings. The only one that'll be connected to electricity will be the office. We will plan on putting that to electricity. It came with electrical package and insulated when it was delivered. So that will be the only one. I do have solar lights, pretty much, that will be outside, more aesthetic looking than really any type of lighting. But it will have some solar lighting. I've even got a couple of solar lighting that'll go in front of the office. And so I don't see illumination being a big concern there or any problem. Let's see, we did put 30 units on there. That's only as if things really be successful for us. We'll add more units. I think right now the plan's 16, but if it could accommodate more. But we just start out with the dealership being small. If it does become more successful, need more, then we can add up to that. That's why I put 30 on there. Just depends on the size of buildings that we get and how many we really can accommodate. And we do have it, all the buildings are in a organized fashion. So they'll look nice as far as coming out, people looking at them. They'll be organized and put in a proper, kind of in a circle or a half circle type setting is what our intentions are. The one out of the office, what we're planning on also doing is just selling some handmade items. Our son Chance has been doing some wood crafting, doing trellises and flower things that they could possibly use for, say if one of these units are bought for a cabin, they may be wanting a fire pit, or they may be wanting outdoor furniture, or things like that. So we're just trying to augment kind of what's being sold there with some handcrafted items. And then we may do a little bit of, I am getting a garden shed through them, or a greenhouse, so we may do some little greenhouse stuff off of it. It's not going to be big. So I don't see it really adversely impacting neighbors. In fact, a lot of the neighbors have called us interested in some of the structures. So I don't feel like we'll have any negativism as far as the impact. On noise, very minimal. Basically just maintaining the yard. And the deliveries are going to be random, which the only thing is if someone buys it off the lot. But if someone buys a building off the lot, it's going to be what they exactly want. Usually what we've been through with our training and our experience, they design their buildings on a 3D online so that they can put their windows where they want, they can have the door painted like they want and do that. It's like the end.
That's your time.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Perfect. Any questions?
She answered one question I had about the surface, so it's not pavement, it's gravel or dust. And the question that I had was about the delivery of those items. What does that look like? Delivering the sheds leaving the property, how big of a
Yeah, like I say,
vehicle?
it would have to be someone that wants that particular building exactly like it's built there. And so there could be an occasional, 90% of the time, they're going to design these buildings online. And so the ones we have on the lot, they make him look to see what a smaller one looks like or get a feel. And it could possibly move and go in and out. But I don't see it happening daily or even once a week, to be honest with you. But most of them, I believe, will probably design their on the 3D thing, and then they build them at the place in Utah, and then they ship them right directly to their,
To their home.
Mhm.
Oh,
Gotcha. Okay.
and we don't even see them at the lot.
okay. Thank you for clarifying. That's all my
Any
questions.
questions?
No questions for me?
I think you're good right now.
All right.
Thank you so much. Okay. Staff.
Annie Hughes, Bannock County Zoning Planner. Do you have any questions regarding the staff report?
She talked about some solar lighting, and I didn't look it up. But since she mentioned that, you know, one of your conditions, number 3, outdoor lighting must adhere to the zoning ordinance. Does solar lighting fall into that ordinance? Or is there
Yes,
certain?
it would,
Yeah.
yeah. So typically, the lighting ordinance is going to have information on where it has to be facing, having them be hooded. So
Mhm.
whether it's solar lighting or
however
electrical
the
lighting,
power,
it
gotcha.
would still be able to meet those requirements.
And not too
so.
much of a concern, 11 to 6, you know, in the wintertime, maybe an hour dark, but nothing's happening there anyway.
Correct.
Okay. No, that's all I have.
So my only question is, and maybe it's because I didn't look at this is a recreational zone, right? So the CUP, because it mentioned something that the the permitted uses are the same as like an RS zone. So I'm assuming the CUP conditionally approved are very similar to that as well. But in the staff report, it says the types of structures that they're proposing are commonly retailed at home improvement stores. So is this considered a home improvement store and that's why we're doing a CUP?
Yeah, so that's what the applicant has decided to, the use chart that we have available. She looked at that use chart and determined home improvement stores is as similar as any of the uses in the use chart could be.
Okay.
And that is a CUP in the recreational zoning district, since portable storage structures are sold at home improvement stores. It would be a somewhat similar use aside from traffic, and I mean,
Gotcha.
obviously this
Okay.
would be probably less intense use than a home improvement store.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's probably an example, like I could think of a brand like Hickory Sheds or something, you see them,
Right.
maybe that's who she's, you know, with, or maybe a comparison, what you'd see at Home Depot or
Yeah.
Lowe's in that parking lot.
I just,
Yeah.
I guess personally I wouldn't consider it a home improvement store, but that's fine.
Mhm.
But I understand. I guess I get it, so. I think that was the only other question I had for staff. Do you have questions for him? Okay. Any more questions, Chad?
No, I don't have any more.
Okay. All right. Do I have anybody that has signed up to speak? Anybody here that wants to sign up to speak? No. Okay, sweet, easy. Anything else you want to mention?
The only thing I'll
If
mention.
you'll come up here and just state your name and address again, sorry.
Canda, C-A-N-D-A, Dimick, and we live at 8742 South Sunnyside Road. Permit for this conditional use is at our second home at 9303 South Sunnyside Road. Just wanted, on the solar lighting, it will be a downward lighting. The solar lights do have covers on the top when you buy them, so it is a protected lighting source. And the only reason that I really did put in when I talked with staff on trying to figure out on the conditional use thing, it is a very limited. I mean, it wouldn't, Lowe's or something like that would be a conditional use thing for a home improvement thing. Those structures are sold at those type of things This would be very limited, nothing like they would have for foot traffic, so.
Right, okay. Perfect, thank you. Okay. I'll go through our deliberation. Do I need to be prepared to write it?
No, but we're functioning, so I think we're good.
Okay, okay, do you all wanna jump right into it, or do you wanna discuss? What do you guys wanna do?
I really don't see a problem with it, especially the location. I'm familiar with the location. It's gonna be limited traffic that's going up in there, tons of room. It is farmable, which would be on a CUP if it's, but they're using such a minute section of an 80-acre parcel. Yeah,
And it's a rec zone.
yeah, so I don't see, I'm familiar with where it's at, so, that's really all I have. Unless you guys have something else, we can dive right in.
I'm not familiar with how far away from town it is, or if there's any,
Yeah, you know where Sunnyside is?
Marjorie, zoom out.
can you zoom out a little bit,
The
yeah?
gas station on Lemon?
Oh, okay,
The one right off the highway. Keep
So they're
going.
north of that, up on the hill there,
okay.
north and a little west.
So really no challenges getting the
Like for the deliveries
structures,
and
the
stuff.
deliveries, yeah?
No problems. And any noise or anything like that would be no different, I believe, than farm equipment that's out there, you know, that would be normally running,
I agree.
you know.
Okay, thanks for that
Okay.
point of reference.
Okay, so we'll just dive into the findings then. It's 5. First one, the proposed use would not adversely affect surrounding properties to a materially greater extent than would a permitted use in the district. Would not. Would
Right.
not. And too many papers.
Because of the location and maybe the surrounding neighbors. Where are they at again?
They've got,
Quite a ways away.
they've got neighbor like, right across the street. But it's such a large piece and
That's their other house, so
Yeah.
there's really not any neighbors, so.
no neighbors, and permitted uses in that district are, well, I didn't look at permitted use in the RS district, but outdoor recreational uses are like skiing, tennis, golf courses, skating rinks, parks, pools, stuff like that. This is gonna be way, based on what the applicant told us, way quieter
So
than
it
any of
would
those.
not adversely affect surrounding properties. I think it's a low scale type of operation and no different than farm equipment running or something like that.
Yeah,
Highway 30 generates more traffic noise than people going up and down any lane to get to that property.
okay. The next one, the proposed use would not cause an undue disruption of travel or an extraordinary increase in the volume of traffic in the vicinity of the proposed use. And just like we said on the first one.
Yeah, almost a copy and paste. It's just a low impact operation was planned predominantly online.
And as far as I know, that's fairly low traffic road already.
Yeah, if you go up, you hit Forest Service, not too far from them.
Yeah.
And it turns to dirt, big ruts, there's not much going on, maybe some side-by-sides that go up there.
But the recreational traffic up there is probably.
It's probably more than what will
this will.
ever be on their road,
Yeah.
yeah. Because of this operation.
Okay. The next one, the proposed use would or would not damage the public health, safety, or general welfare within its vicinity or be materially injurious to properties or improvements in the vicinity. I would say would not.
All parking on private, all the parking's on the private property.
Off-site parking. It's a retail place, but it's also, it sounds like it's, more of a showroom type
Yeah.
operation than a lot of in and out with deliveries and pickups and stuff like that.
Kind of
so-
more of a, yeah, like you said, a showroom almost.
Yeah. And they mentioned that they're working with Road and Bridge to update some,
Culvert.
their
Yeah.
approach and culvert on the approach. Possibly, yeah.
I've got a condition. It's on already.
Okay, the next one, the proposed use would or would not be consistent with the goals and policy of the comprehensive plan of the county. I'd say it would.
I'd say it would too, and I can't tell you what in there, but it promotes kind of a business anyways, smaller
Yeah,
business.
that's, in the staff report, that's, what is it?
Yes.
Goal 3.2.3, support the development of economic incentives for business expansion and growth.
That's perfect.
And there was another one. Well, in general, goal 3.2, a strong and diverse economy.
Yeah.
Probably good with that first one that you read there, in the staff report.
3.2.3. Okay. The proposed use would or would not be designed to be as compatible in terms of building height, bulk, scale, setbacks, open spaces, and landscaping with adjacent uses as is practical. It would.
Or prefab buildings that don't exceed the building height.
Scale setbacks. 'Cause that's a question I have for staff, I guess. Because of the type of business, is there a setback from the road that these buildings would have to be? I mean, they're
Yes.
technically portable, right?
Yeah, so they'd still need to meet the right-of-way setback, so 30 feet off of the right-of-way is as close to the road as they would be able to be, but I think where they're located, they'll more than meet the setbacks.
Okay. And that's something that your office would maintain anyway, or regulate
Yeah.
anyway, so, okay. What do you have for that one though? All the other ones I think we're good on, but
The
that one.
structures won't exceed the building height and will meet all setback requirements.
And consolidated to 1 acre parcel, or 1 acre section of an 80 acre parcel.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Conditions, there's a few on the staff report, suggested conditions, 5 of them. Hours of operation from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. All signs must adhere to the zoning ordinance. Outdoor lighting must adhere to the zoning ordinance. No more than 30 portable structures at any given time. And all customer parking must be contained on the property and no street parking will be permitted. And then
Add the approach.
do we need to put a condition that the approach will be updated per road and bridge standards?
I think so.
Okay,
Okay.
so number 6. Update. Approach to road and bridge standards.
Just for a quick clarification, was Tracy saying it needed to be updated or just have some maintenance done on it?
He was going to look into seeing what,
Okay.
if the county, if it was gonna be their obligation to do it or us. so.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't required,
So it may
something
be-
that Road and Bridge isn't going to require, so.
Yeah, so maybe word it different, make improvements to culvert as
Recommended by.
recommended by Road and Bridge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds good.
What was that?
Make necessary improvements. Existing code. Yes.
Okay.
Do we need to add the right of way or the 30-foot setbacks?
I don't think so because the setbacks are based on
Required.
zoning, so I think we're okay there. Okay. I think we're ready for a motion then.
I'll read it. Based on the record and discussion this evening, I move to approve the request by Candidemic for a conditional use permit to sell portable buildings as described in the application materials as supplemented with additional information attached in the staff report and according to testimony received, and to adopt the proposed findings and order for signature by the chair or vice chair. With the following conditions of approval. I think we have to read them. We can't say staff anymore, right?
Do you want me to read them?
Yeah.
Tristan, can we-
Hours of operation, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. All signs must, thank you, Monday through Saturday. All signs must adhere to zoning ordinance section 475.14. Outdoor lighting must adhere to zoning ordinance section 475.10. No more than 30 portable structures will be on site at any given time. Any customer parking must be contained on property and no street parking will be permitted. Make necessary improvements to existing culvert as recommended by Bannock County Road and Bridge.
Okay, perfect. We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call please.
Chad Sillane,
Yes.
Stuart Ward,
Yes.
Crystal Dodson.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 3-0. Perfect, you are good. Yep, thank you. You're welcome to stay and hear the rest of the meeting or make the drive home, either way.
I think we'll go get some dinner.
That's a good plan too.
I'll get that.
Okay. Next item is a rezone. Agenda item number 5, Jeremy Manska proposes the redesignation of approximately 4.14 acres of land from residential suburban to light industrial on the zoning map. The subject property is located in Section 5, Township 6 South, Range 34 East, identified as parcel RPR 3853006700. This will be a recommendation to county commissioners. So, okay, Jeremy, you're up.
Jeremy Manska with Westwood Construction, 1655 North 2nd Avenue, Pocatello, Idaho. I do have some written testimony from neighbors in favor of.
Thank you.
So currently this parcel has a 40 by 88 building on it. There is a business that wants to operate out of that. It's a truss manufacturing company. They're currently located at Spartan Steel, and Spartan has expanded and forced them out of their building. So they've looked at several different sites, properties, haven't found anything that is readily available or that needs to have substantial improvements made on it, building built on it before they could operate. So they've looked at going into this building so that they can continue working and not have any downtime. The owner of the business did or was considering just shutting the business down altogether or trying to find a new place to operate. For us, he does a lot of work for us, so we're advocating for him. The surrounding area is a mix of residential and light industrial. There's gravel pits to the south, to the west, a lot of industrial stuff northwest. So this kind of fits in with that area. The business does not have any customers come to the building. It's all done online or off-site, so there's only employees. Currently they operate 4 employees on-site daily, and then they have 5 off-site employees, including the owners. They work Monday through Friday from about 6 a.m. until 5 p.m. It's all indoors, so the noise is considerably muffled. They don't have any heavy machinery that they operate like IMC does. It's mainly just saws and nail guns and a truss press that doesn't make a whole lot of noise. With this rezone, we are intending to improve the current approach to meet county standards and improve the site with a gravel yard that's a little flatter than what currently is out there, so that there's space to store these trusses. As far as lighting on the building, it's all down lighting currently, and none of that will change. It'll stay as is. What else? I don't think I have anything else. So, it will be less impactful than what the gravel pits operate. I know IMC runs 24 hours, and they're quite a bit louder than what we would be. Just if you guys have any questions for me.
So you would just use the one entrance?
Yes, that's the existing approach now. We would improve that with a paved approach to meet the county standards. All traffic would go in and out of that. Currently, they have about 3 deliveries a week that come out of that facility, and then they have incoming materials about once a month.
So there's another approach to the east though, isn't there, or no?
Closer
It
to,
looks like there's.
Yeah, right over
in the
there.
corner.
there may be.
But
it's not
this
gonna
plan
be-
is just to use the one?
Yes,
Okay.
yep. everything will come in off of that approach. And you can see that circle is area for a truck to, semi-truck to make a turn and get back out, so they don't have to use any of the approaches.
Okay. Okay, any other questions for that, Tim?
I don't have any questions.
I think I have any.
We have seen you before, so what was that about to get to this point? Because it was about this trust plan.
So it was the comprehensive plan and the
Gotcha.
future zone
Okay.
map.
Okay.
Yep, they were here, the property owner was here to try to get this piece of property changed
On the
on
comprehensive.
on the future land use map.
Yeah,
And that was-
correlate to 2040.
Yeah, and that was
Yeah.
approved,
Yeah.
and so now the next step is the actual zone change.
Gotcha. Thank you for the reminder.
So, okay, I think we're good, thanks.
Thanks.
Alright, staff.
Annie Hughes, zoning planner, do you have any questions regarding the staff report?
No questions for me.
Is there anything in here we need to, like, really pay attention to?
We haven't gotten any agency comments or neighbor comments we haven't received any, other than what you
Other than these ones right here.
Okay.
And those are 4.
Yeah, they're all in support. Okay. Okay, do I need to read these in the record or anything?
Yeah, that's probably.
Probably.
Yeah. As a part of the public testimony portion.
I'll do that first. Okay, any other questions for staff before I go on?
Mhm. Well, I do. So with the agency comments you mentioned, what's really needs to be required? It's an existing building, existing yard. There's not really too much impact, so is it road and bridge they need to make their approach proper? But as far as the land use, is there any agency comments that need to be?
Yeah, so when it comes to a zoning change, there's really not any, for this request, anything
Yeah.
that would come
I'm going
up.
too far down the.
Yeah,
line.
everything would
Okay.
come up when they
Yeah.
decide to put their business in there, and now
Gotcha.
they've gotta update their approach and come to compliance for
Okay.
zoning standards, but for this request, it wouldn't be.
If this is granted, they will come to us for a change of use.
Yep,
And in the
gotcha.
process of the change of use application, the permitting process will then go through the approach and all of the other
Yeah,
items.
then we'll address that. Gotcha.
And we'll address that internally,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
One thing that caught my attention is just council should determine if the potential would adversely affect the value of the property values, but I don't know that that's
Surrounding properties and property values.
something we need to.
I don't think there's any influence of it's gravel pits on 3/4 of the size. It's a perfect place for this trust plan, really.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay. Alright, so for public testimony, I'll read these 2 letters and then the other one's just like a petition, so. Let's see. This is from Les Stahl, I think is how you say last name? Staley? Okay, thanks. I, Les Staley, reside at 14771 West Chubbuck Road. I received notice in the mail about a proposed change in zoning for the lot directly across the street from my house from residential to light industrial. I'm in favor of this change. For the past few years since building their shop there, the owners have always been considerate about noise outside business hours, have only had a few vehicles coming and going on weekdays, and haven't stirred up dust like our back neighbors, the IMC gravel pit. I look forward to seeing the land be used in support of small local businesses. Let's see, the next one, my name is Tom Nielsen. I currently live at the end of Nada Lane off of Chubbuck Road. I would at this time like to show my support for Ben Gardner to lease out his shop to a client that has been an established business owner for quite some time. I do not think that it would adversely affect traffic or be a disruption of any concern to the surrounding neighbors. And then it says, let's see, this is included below are a few of the nearby neighbors to this parcel in favor of the proposed zoning change from residential to light industrial. Let me just read the names. Sutton Sorter, Marie Kendall, Brad Gardner, Ronald Howell, I think is what it says. Joel Edwards, Dwayne Hall, Derek Furness, and Lane Andreessen. Okay. All right, is there anybody else in the audience that wants to speak on behalf of this application? No, okay.
Or against?
Or against, on behalf. Neutral, for, neutral, against, any of the three. Okay. Is there anything else you want to bring up, Jeremy? Okay. All right. Discussion? What do you guys think?
No, I don't
I want to
have
move on to
Yeah.
findings. Just jump into it.
any. No, we're good over here.
Everybody's good?
Mhm.
You good? Okay. We'll just jump into the findings then. All right. The first one, the uses allowed in the proposed district would or would not be compatible with surrounding uses. And it would. Surrounding uses are, most of the surrounding uses are already in
Yeah. Predominantly.
industrial uses.
Predominantly surrounded by existing industrial use. I think you spelled predominantly. I messed it up.
I said surround, I wrote surrounding, I wrote it real
Yeah,
fast.
that's all right.
Okay. Number two, the proposed zoning district would or would not adversely affect the surrounding neighborhood's stability and property values.
Would not.
Would not adversely.
Not. And I think it's kind of the same as the first one, because most of the uses are already
And it's,
in industrial type uses, or uses in an industrial zone.
or zoned industrial, light industrial, I think on two sides of the property, I thought it was.
Across the street for sure.
Across the street and then the kitty corner.
Yeah, there's a little bit of the light industrial just
Kitty corner.
across the
yeah.
street, kind of kitty corner, but
Yeah, I thought there was another pit or something, just like right here too.
on the other side of Rio Vista,
Yeah.
there's one.
Mhm.
But north of them is a pit, it's just not zoned industrial,
Gotcha.
so.
But it is still used historically as a pit.
Correct. Yeah. So I think based on the current surrounding uses, I don't know that it's gonna adversely affect the
Would not.
stability of property values, because they've been established uses for a
Yeah.
long time,
So
so.
it would not adversely affect because of current surrounding uses of the land, something like that.
Current established uses of the surrounding land, yeah. Okay. Will you read that one back to me then, please?
Most surrounding uses are already in the light industrial zone and are being used as such. Based on the current surrounding uses, it will not adversely affect stability or property values because they are all established uses.
Perfect. Okay. Number three, the applicant has shown that there is or is not a need for the proposed zoning district in the county or at the proposed location.
There is a need. an existing truss manufacturer or plant that needs somewhere to go, basically.
An existing manufacturing,
Yeah.
manufacturing. And I think on, who would be on this one? Where we can, mention the future land use map shows this as industrial.
Then you could put it here, it also would go in number 1 if you wanted to.
Would number 7 make sense for that too?
Yes. I'll put it in all of them.
Do you want it in this one?
Well, I'm thinking so just because it says at the proposed location.
Okay.
So I think we can state that the future land use, that's a flood,
Great, it's also for 7.
shows industrial.
You could also make a comment that there is not currently much available land in the county that is zoned light industrial. So there is a need,
Oh, okay.
because most of what's already zoned already has businesses, industries, et cetera, already established. And they are basically being moved out of light industrial to a place where they don't have many options.
So no, there's limited available light industrial zones in the
Correct.
county.
Available.
Did you get that? You didn't type
Limited
it?
available
Yeah.
light industrial. Just checking.
What a silly question.
Okay, number 4, the public cost resulting from the change in land use would or would not be excessive when compared to the public benefit derived from the change in land use. Would not.
Yeah, would not be excessive.
I don't think there really is no public cost resulting from this change.
That is correct. Sewer, water, power, gas already exist at the site.
Yeah.
It is currently under service for police, patrol, sheriff, fire, emergency, ambulance, etc. Change of the zone does not affect the current services.
But the public benefit
With a,
is
with a business
is massive, I
Yeah.
think. So,
The local truss manufacturer.
okay, number 5. Kind of addressed this one already too. Adequate public services, utilities, and facilities would be available to serve the changed land use. These are already in
Yeah,
existence.
adequate public services are already in place at the property.
Yeah, public services and utilities are already available. Number 6, the proposed.
I'm
oh,
sorry, I didn't hear that one.
Adequate public
You
services.
said it like 3 times. Kristen.
Sorry, he was whispering in my ear.
From the one before.
Yeah,
Public
okay.
services
that's
are
perfect.
available.
Yeah,
Already
so what do we
available.
say? Adequate public services are already in place at the property.
Okay.
Okay, number 6, the proposed zoning district would allow uses, or would not allow uses that would be detrimental to the environment of the immediate neighborhood. Would not.
Yeah, would not.
Some of that's based on the written testimony that we received tonight too, though. They say that this site doesn't stir up dust like some of the other sites around them, and
Yeah, or based on
The noise.
public input.
the noise, yeah.
Yeah, based on positive or for public input. Doesn't seem to be a problem. I don't know. I don't see anything wrong. It's not gonna be that really added traffic once you got the gravel trucks already rolling, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know how we word all that.
We're good.
Yeah.
I think we just talk and Tristan figures it
Yeah.
out. That's what I think we do.
It's written.
Yeah.
Well done.
So, number 7, the requested change would be in accordance with the goals and policies of the county comprehensive plan.
Well, it's future vendors. Yeah.
Future land use map shows this as industrial, and
It's like the economic growth goal.
the one in the staff report, or are you thinking of a different one?
If it is in the staff report, then yes.
I didn't see much of it. Oh, maybe I did.
They-
I read as much.
They got 3.2.
Yeah, it doesn't cite which part of the comprehensive plan in the staff
Keep
report.
going.
Okay.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
The last.
Right there.
Goal 3.2,
Is that the
strong
one
and
you're
diverse
thinking of?
county.
Do you want just the goal or do you want the strategies that go with the goal as well?
I think
Seems
goal
all-
3.2, I think all 3 of those actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
321, 322, and 323. Yeah.
Strong recommendation.
What's that?
Stronger. All 3 of them.
Okay, so that's the last one. Okay. And we don't have conditions on this, and this is a recommendation to the commissioners.
Any motion?
So I think we're ready for a motion.
Okay, I'll do that. Based on the record and the discussion this evening, the council recommends approval to the Board of County Commissioners. The request made by Jerry Manska to rezone. Jeremy, sorry,
Should
Jerry.
be Jeremy.
Jeremy Manska to rezone as described in the applicable materials as supplemented with additional information attached in the staff report and according to testimony received, and to adopt the proposed findings and order for signature by the chair or vice chair.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second?
Okay, roll call please.
Molly Dimmitt,
Yes.
Chad Selenite,
Yes.
Stuart Ward,
Yes.
Crystal Madsen.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 4-0. Okay, perfect. Thanks, guys. When you said Jerry, I was like, whoa, what's that? All right, oops. All right. Okay.
See either way. It's hard, but that's not. Which one you looking at?
All right, the next item is
Oh, gotcha. I got a few questions.
is an ordinance change, zoning ordinance amendment. Matt Liu proposes a change to section 394.6, general standards of the master planned community MPC zone to change the minimum area required from 750 acres to 550 acres. And this is a recommendation to the county commissioners as well. So, sorry, just
You're good.
1 second, just 1 second. Does this, because it's an ordinance change, I just wanna make sure we go through the same, it's the same process, cause he's requested it, so he gets his time.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure, we haven't done this before, so,
No, this is perfect, you're fine.
okay, name and address, please.
Perfect. Good evening, council members, staff, appreciate your time here. My name is Matt, last name is Lou, L-O-O, address 377 Delmar Drive, St. George, Utah, a little further. Again, this evening, as the council member mentioned, our request as part of the applicant as well as the landowner is to consider reducing the master plan community zone with the minimum acreage that currently is at 750 down to 550. That's all we have. Any questions?
It's just in there between McCammon and Lava, so where's this property at?
So this is the Terry's property.
Don't know.
So it's off the 30th, just right above the hill, kind of close to where the landfill.
Okay.
It's kind of just up and behind that, just on top of that hill.
So the tower's kind of over by there's towers right there on the point.
You're correct.
Is it that property?
West of Crystal Spring.
Yes, yes, so Crystal Springs is one end, and then where the landfill is the other, it's kind of right in the middle.
Where's the access to the property then, to get up in there?
We will probably get to that as we go through the process. We've got a couple options that we've looked at, discussing.
So there's really not established access right now?
Not right now.
Okay.
Yeah, not right now. We just try to figure if there's an opportunity here for us to move forward on the zone that potentially fits the vision of the project.
So the master, what are your plans for the property usage as time goes on? You know, if this was changed and you proceeded with this, what are your plans with the property? Because you mentioned recreational, snowmobiling, ATV use, or is that kind of what the vision is?
Yeah, the vision is basically what within that zone, what's allowed within that zone is what the uses would be coming as far as what our submittals or our application will be requested.
So would it be something, are you familiar with Lava Ranches?
I'm not.
I wonder if it's something like that, where you guys, they're on 5 acre parcels, they're up above Lava. So,
Okay.
Was that an example of an NPC? Because I was wondering,
no,
do we have any examples of an
I think this will be the first with this current zone. It's kind of somewhat a new zone, and again, we'll be going through this together potentially for the first time.
I guess I really didn't get exactly what's planned with it. It's like, I mean, I get ATV use and snowmobile use. But is it gonna be are you gonna go for 5 acre parcels like Lava Ranches? That's my question.
I think at this point though, all he's asking for is to change the
Yeah, I
minimum
understand
acreage, right?
that.
So
Yeah.
if this goes through and he proceeds with, they proceed with the project, then we'll see all the details of it. But our recommendation, our decision tonight is not based on a future project.
The use.
It's not based on the use necessarily, because the master plan community can be a variety of uses based on the zone.
I guess, okay,
So,
that's
does
kind
that
of
make
my
sense?
question, what the heck is an MPC?
Yeah.
No?
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
Very, again,
Yeah.
we appreciate the concern, appreciate the question, and it's fitting. But again, like the council member basically mentioned this evening, is just consider a reduction of the 750 to 550.
Council, real quickly, we don't have an example in Bannock County. This was added, I believe, to our ordinance back in 16 or somewhere in that time frame. Anticipating that someone with large land holdings may come in and want to develop, shall we say, a small city. Okay, it almost is developing along those lines. Gives the developer the opportunity and the flexibility to come to us with different ideas, whether it be a new city, whether it be a place for recreation, that they have a lodge and they stage in the wintertime out of that lodge, as well as hotels, motels, perhaps small residential rental structures, etc., where they would have potentially cross-country skiing, snowmobile trails, other activities, winter activities, the summertime, the complete reversal of people come there, whether they choose to hike, mountain bike, motorbike, whatever they come to propose with this master planned community. It gives them the flexibility to go to densities rather than something like Latin Ranches, which is a 5-acre subdivision, recreational subdivision, okay? Don't confuse the two, they are completely separate.
Gotcha.
And in this, the applicant is coming to us asking for a reduction of the total acreage required and changing the ordinance so that it gives them the opportunity to move forward with master planned community, as opposed to the county saying, come back to us when you have the minimum.
So is an MPC a particular type of land use within the ordinances that has designated allowable uses, just like rural residential and recreational?
It's wide open.
Correct, yeah. So there's actually a list of permitted uses as well as a list of conditionally permitted uses, and it's got more requirements, but there's also more room to have mixed uses in a master plan community as opposed to just a one zoned area.
It's
Would
about
it be
17
possible-
pages of fun.
Yeah. Would it be possible to pull up the permitted uses?
Yeah, if you just go to the ordinance.
To me, the master plan community
On the
ordinance
website.
is very similar to what the whole Northgate thing was going to be. If you guys know anything about that, it was gonna be homes, businesses, gas stations, basically, like Hal said, it's a small city.
394.
So you have commercial, residential, and a mix of all of that in one location. So they're not driving from there into town to get gas and groceries. It's all in that one central
In
location.
theory, that we've never seen in Bannock County, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it may sound like a dichotomy to say it has restrictions, but it also has more flexibility.
Right.
Because not every little pocket is defined that, oh, you can only do this size of a lot in this particular section that is zoned residential rural. Oh, you can only do this because this section is zoned commercial general. It gives them the opportunity to just blend it the way that they see fit.
Speaking of, it looks like it's currently residential rural, is that?
Is that the current zoning, residential?
There's a couple of different small zonings up there.
I
If you're
think
trying to
there's
look at it.
ag and
Yes.
residential rural
Correct.
currently. So Marge has the permitted uses pulled up. So we have the first 5 there on that page: accessory buildings, accessory dwelling units, administration and business offices, agriculture without livestock, auto parts and accessories, auto washes, auto sales, banks, boat and RV sales, business center, gas station, golf courses, home occupation. So there's just a real
City stuff.
extensive
Yeah,
list
yeah,
of
city.
items, and then if you scroll down to the next page, then it also shows you some that would still require a conditional use permit on top of your master planned community if you wanted some of those more maybe heavier uses.
Hal, do you have any background of why 750 was?
I wanted to know what was wrong.
I do.
Sure.
Had an opportunity to visit with the author, Devin, and he basically just says, I just pulled a number that sounded good. So there was really no science behind, or no data behind the number 750.
The other item to consider, council, is the fact that if and when someone came to us with a master planned community, it doesn't require that we go through a future land use map amendment. It doesn't require that we go through a rezoning process. They come to us with a master plan and say, this is what's going to occur on this acreage. And that's why the ordinance is written with an acreage number as a minimum to do that type of project.
And so my concern was, so it's 750 now, they're requesting for a recommendation of the commissioners for 550. Well, let's say someone across the valley buys 350 acres, now we're here back again, and then next thing we know, we're down to 350 acres, and we started at 750.
So,
750 was arbitrary, so.
yeah, and I understand it was arbitrary. I guess still my concern, it's not as big of a concern now that I know the number was arbitrary, was that it basically says we have to, or the applicant has to demonstrate that this is a benefit for the county as a whole and not specific to a particular landowner and party at a given point in time.
Correct.
And that's, I guess, not that I don't trust you,
Yeah.
you know,
No, I understand.
but when somebody comes in like this, it feels like it is self-serving to a certain degree, right? Because it's specific to your project right now, but how does your project and this change benefit the entire county for this amendment?
No,
That's
great question.
So,
Great question. And that's, again, our role to come forward and talk about job creation, talk about economic benefit, talk about tax sales or tax revenue for the county. So that's, again, that's all stuff as part of our presentation as we go through the process. But we understand through guidance from staff is we cannot go there unless we go here first.
understood.
Yeah, so that's kind of where, it's kind of a rub. We're here going, we're kind of pinned up and we want to just kind of just go through and address all your concerns and questions, which we will. But because of processes and policies,
Right.
this is our first step.
I guess that's just where I'm at. Like the 200 acre reduction is a little bit hard for me to swallow for the county as a whole and not just for your one project at this time, or even a year down the road, or whenever your project comes in, right? It just, that's a big reduction to look at it and not just for one project and look at it as a whole, as a county as a whole. So that's just kind of my hesitation to it right now, but
So should we discuss?
like I said, knowing the 750 number was just kind of pulled out of the air. It helps a little bit, but it's still a big reduction, so.
200 is.
And I think if you, if we consider and dive into it, why such a zone was created, back in 2016, it was probably to lean more towards, not only being able to develop a property in a master plan, but it was more to develop a property that addresses your vision, your 2040 consolidated plans, and that, I think, how and why the zone was created, to give that opportunity for the county to expand and fit within your future visions. So
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the zone, it's just the acreage. think.
Should we
So,
discuss what
sorry.
the impacts might be to the reduction? Like offhand, it could mean more applications, because there could be more smaller NPCs. Can we think of any other negative?
Well, that's kind of what I mentioned before, so let's say we give a recommendation and it goes through the commissioners, well, then we get another applicant with a similar thing, but they got 400 acres. Well, we did it or recommended to the commissioners for this applicant, so where does the buck stop? And I understand the 750 acres was arbitrary, but who were we as a council to decide where's the number? Is that us to say, I mean, do we have all the background and everything to be able to say, okay, we're good with 550 acres because of this reason? Or the next time it comes around, okay, we're good with 300 acres because of this. So, I mean,
Well, and I think that's why we have to look at it not project specific, and not his uses or his future uses of that project. We just have to look at what we're comfortable with, this council right now, what we're comfortable with recommending to commissioners in general. Do we want a master plan community that's only 300 acres, or do we want them to be 750 acres, or something in between? And that, and hopefully if somebody comes back, similar situation, it's not why we're here, and we don't have to make that decision if they're requesting for another reduction. But the uses in what we're doing, the uses in that zone or their layout or whatever are irrelevant
yeah, I get
to what we're,
that. I get
to what
that
we're
part.
trying to decide.
It's really the acreage. That's similar to what you're saying, giving up 200 acres. So just where does the buck stop? So even if we're not here, I mean, they just keep chopping the tree and it gets thinner and thinner and thinner.
Well, and I think that's when
Potentially.
you have to remember, that's kind of what government is, right? For the people, by the people. So county residents, county taxpayers are allowed to request a zoning ordinance change and ordinance change in general
Right.
at any time, because that is their right. That is what government is, that's part of what government is.
Yeah, of course.
So today it's 550, if in 2 months it's 300, that's their right to come back and request that, and then you would, again, at that point, it's not that you're setting a precedent that the first time it's 550, maybe 350 isn't reasonable because of the deliberation you have, but 550 is because of your deliberation, so.
And a little tougher because it's the first one kind of seen. We have nothing to compare it to, or so that's kind of where I'm tentative about it. Also with the acreage. So
Do we have this, to put in perspective in the county map, do we have this visual of this space
on
in
the
the
property
acreage
up there
at
anywhere.
all? Do you have that? Okay.
I've got
Almost
A
the
little.
size of a section, right? Because that's what, 600?
640.
Just helpful.
So,
See it on the
yeah, so
county.
like,
How
See
much
it.
650
so like
think
a
it looks?
square mile is 640 acres. So if you think about that, 750 is bigger than a square mile, and 550 is less than that. And so
And
it's
the property
somewhere
we're,
around that.
sorry, the property we're looking at is about 639. The total
639
property.
acres.
Yeah.
They have basically 1 square mile, Stuart.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
And to give you an idea, if you can conceivably wrap your head around the spatial relationship, the city of Pocatello is approximately 32.22 square miles,
Pocatello.
which holds a population base of 60-some thousand people. That's just Pocatello, not including Cheviot areas, that's just city boundaries.
So a mile in that area.
They get one of these squares, basically.
Yep.
So,
That's helpful, just for.
Are you trying to spell it?
yeah, yeah.
The top of the, it's right here, city and a square.
Right.
Is that who it was purchased from, was the Andresses?
Terry's,
Yeah, so
they're working with
it's-
us, it's the joint venture.
So go down 2 parcels from that one, where's that one right there? That, and then there's some to the west and north of that, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's not a perfect square, but acreage wise, we can think of it as a square mile,
Square mile.
essentially.
There you go, thank you.
It's one of those.
Do you have any other questions or discussion with the applicant?
I guess my only other question would be, you know, if we're hesitant about 550 and you have 639, you know, would you be willing to bump it up if that would
600?
increase the appetite for you?
Yeah, we just, yeah, again, it's like one of those, how do you get 550? Same way we got 750. So that's the only reason.
Just curious,
Yeah,
if
no,
there's a
yes.
limitation.
Yeah, so 6, you know, like I said, we've got about 640, but 639. So, yeah, 600, 630, 625, you know, just within that realm.
He doesn't really care as long as it's less than the acreage that he's
Yeah,
looking
that's
at.
exactly
As long
right.
as I fit the zone, as long as we fit the zone.
Like 640 is a section, so there's an
Right.
arbitrary,
Right.
but
So, okay,
640
perfect,
is
thank
the-
you. We may have more questions for you.
That'll be fine.
Thank you so much.
a section, the square mile by square mile.
Yeah.
If we're looking for arbitrary numbers.
Yeah, right.
That's less arbitrary than the other.
Okay,
I do like the idea of maybe recommending 625, and I don't know why, but it just makes more
This
sense.
feels good.
Less of a change.
Yeah, not as drastic a change.
so,
And then is there a reason for keeping that number large to ensure that whoever's investing in the project is truly invested? Like, would that be a reason to keep that number larger? So that the NPC project actually
Larger
goes
benefit
through?
to the county.
I don't know, that might be a
that-
question for staff. It makes sense to me. We wouldn't want like a 20-acre MPC kind of thing. I don't think it's, there's too much leeway, I think, in that zone for the smaller acreages. So that's why I think it's such a large
Such a large
value, but
acreage, yeah.
maybe staff can help us out with that.
Yeah, I would agree that that's definitely part of the reason it's larger, because you are essentially creating your own mini city. There's a lot to it. You don't want a mini city that's 50 acres even. But at the same time, the master plan community requirements are also so cumbersome that even if it's only 550 versus 750, they still have to be
Yeah.
willing and able to put forth a lot of work, a lot of capital
Right.
to complete a master plan community. So I would say it makes more sense to have it on the larger side, but that doesn't mean smaller than what it is couldn't still be feasible, knowing that the requirements to do something in that capacity is cumbersome.
This is just the first hurdle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess, we just gotta talk about it and then make a motion to recommend something. We can recommend denial, we could recommend a different number
We're recommending to the commissioners, right?
to the commissioners, yeah. So, let me just ask staff, we have a rough memo here, right? But what, from staff standpoint, what's your recommendation on this? Do you have one?
To approve and make the recommendation to a minimum of 600 acres.
Why 600? Just because you pulled it out of there?
I feel like
I'm
640,
just,
but that
I'm
doesn't
just
mean it's.
asking.
That's a little less.
Have a compromise. And if we wanted to, we could go to, what'd you say, 640?
640 is
mile?
1 square mile.
That's-
That makes sense to me.
That's kind of, reading through this, that's kind of where I was at, but that makes more sense than 750 or 550 or something, because I think a lot of people can look at a square mile or 640 acres, well, they may not put the two together, but a square mile is easier to picture than 750 acres.
Then a compromise would be within plus or minus 10% of 640.
Makes sense.
That's
Because
acres.
if someone comes,
64 acres.
if someone comes to us and they have 620 acres,
39.
that's all that they have available that they can purchase, okay? At that point in time, I think that there needs to be some flexibility to the hard number. That's my personal opinion.
I like that idea.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Right?
So for
Yeah.
example,
I mean, if they're,
Well, and
what
but you
is
look
the
at
app-
it like,
what is
not
the
every square
applicant's-
mile is 640 acres either.
Correct.
So I get where you're going
Does that
with
make sense?
Yes, yes.
So that would be my recommendation, I'll add to some language. That gives us flexibility when people come to us and we're talking and we're trying to come to a conclusion,
Yeah.
okay?
I like
Um,
the square mile because of just the logical, you can wrap your head around it
Yeah.
with the flexibility.
Yep.
So, yeah. Can we, I guess I'm trying to figure out word verbiage, right? Do we want to put 640 acres? Or, I don't
Minimum
know.
of 640 acres plus or minus 10%.
But then we'd have to,
Is they move to recommend modified proposal? Will that be the
I
motion?
So
would
would
probably
work
say
with-
recommend approval with the modification from 550 acres
to
to
640 acre,
640
or
plus or minus
640,
10%.
or 1 square mile, or what do you call
I guess that's,
Section.
it? A section, or one section plus or minus 10%. Something like that.
that's what I was trying to figure out, the verbiage of that. Do we do just the acreage? Do we throw in the square mile? Do we throw in the PLSS
Maybe we should do
sections?
square
You know,
miles, so we
you
don't,
know what I mean?
maybe we shouldn't confuse that it has to be one continuous section, so
Acres.
maybe we
Yes.
should.
Right, and that's why I think acres is easier to deal with, because, I mean, picturing 1 square mile, a lot of people can picture 1 square mile, but when you're dealing with something like this, you have to look at acreage, because it could
I think
be.
surveyors and
all-
developers are gonna know that 640 number.
Right, right.
I don't know, Stuart?
I know what I'm doing.
I couldn't resist, sorry.
I may get confused some
He's the one
days,
that came up with the
but,
answer when I asked.
but
Maybe I look at
Most-
GIS for work too much.
most days I know what I'm doing.
Well, if someone asks the question, where did the number come from? We can say, the defensible position is, it's within reason of a square mile.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Okay,
Makes sense.
The number isn't arbitrary like 750.
Right.
it's not
Square
anymore.
mile.
It's a hard number, well,
Yep.
it's plus or minus 10%, it's a hard number.
Which is what a minor variance is allowed under the director by our ordinance anyway. So
The
there's-
10%?
So there's also another point of reasoning of why you would give a plus or minus 10%, because that is what the director can already give as a minor variance to a lot size, a setback, anything like that in the zoning ordinance.
Gotcha.
That makes sense to me. I
Yeah.
get something like that too.
Okay. Any other discussion?
No, I like that. I think it's 640, that's a good hard number. That's, yeah, I like that, with the 10% plus or minus variance, basically, yeah.
Makes sense. Okay,
Just how we word it to the commissioners, you know?
just like that. So we'll go,
I'm sure.
where's our motion? Well, yeah, where's our motion here? So our motion is there, but the verbiage is this one, right?
Yes.
So that is. So that's 10%. Okay. Is anybody ready to make a motion?
Yeah, I'm trying to think how to word a motion. We need to, or do we just read it as an approved
I
and then
think-
with conditions on the end?
Well, we're given a recommendation for the proposed changes, and then this right here
The description.
is the proposed changes. So that we'll recommend,
So-
if you're gonna recommend approval, you can read this.
We can read the whole thing with the following conditions.
No, with the proposed changes.
So somewhere we just change it in here, right? That's as described in the application, so that's not right.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
So I would probably say something like, based on the record and discussion this evening, I move to recommend approval to the Board of County Commissioners, the proposed changes to the master plan community zone ordinance with the change of 750 acres to 640 plus or minus 10% as described in the application materials as supplemented.
So moved.
Yeah.
Can I do that?
Well, I guess the question is, because the application is for 550.
But the
Do we-
recommendation comes from you. so-
Right.
Yeah,
But it
so-
says as
So
described in
you
the
could
application
keep that
materials.
verbiage out if you wanted
That's,
to.
I think that's where Chad's
Yeah.
hung up on, is,
Yeah.
so I think we just say the proposed changes of this, with additional information attached in the staff report and according testimony. And so you're kind of skipping
You could just skip the whole
That-
last,
that whole thing right there.
because the chair doesn't sign findings on this one anyway, so you could just say
Oh,
the proposed
true.
changes to the master plan community.
Of
Changing
this
the
change,
752.
and then that's the end of it.
Yep.
We'll help you with it. If you're gonna do it,
Okay,
we'll help you.
I'm gonna do it, here we go.
You can
Okay,
do
I'm
it.
gonna do the motion. Based on the record and the discussion this evening, I move to recommend approval to the Board of County Commissioners the proposed changes to the master plan community zone ordinance of Bannock County, Idaho from 750 acres to a 640 acre plus or minus 10%. And to adopt the proposed findings and order for signature by the chair or vice chair.
Okay. All right.
Second.
You guys second?
It's a mouthful.
Okay.
Molly, did you second?
I think we both said it at the same
One of
time.
them- one of them did.
We both did.
Roll call, please.
Molly Dimmitt. Chad Zelenak.
Yes.
Stuart Ward.
Yes.
Crystal Masters.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Perfect. Okay, thank you guys.
So much, guys, appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
It's gonna be so much fun. I promise.
Matt, are you in town tomorrow?
I leave at 5 in the morning,
Okay.
but we can call, I got 6 hours.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. That's the end of the public hearing, so we just need a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Need a second? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, no business items tonight. Items of interest. Anything?
Tristan Borkman, Assistant Planning Director. I do not believe we have an update on any recommendations to the commissioners that you've sent recently. For June meeting items, we have 3 variances. We have one for side yard setback, one for side yard and rear yard setback, and one for lot size. And I don't believe we have any other announcements.
But there's still potentially more coming for June.
No, so the
That's
deadline
the-
was Monday, so
Okay.
that's the whole list.
What
Done.
date is the meeting?
June 18th.
Is there We had a calendar for last year's. Is there somewhere we can have a calendar for, or did I just not get it?
Yeah, we probably just didn't print a new one. They're on the website, but I can print one for you right now.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'll take one too.
Yeah. I'm
So
just-
the gravel pit in Chubbuck,
Yes.
they did a
They did
appeal and
an
a
appeal
reconsideration,
and a
right?
reconsideration, yes, and both were, they upheld council's original decision to deny. So at this point, if they wanted to move forward, they would have had to file a judicial review within, I think it's 15 days of the reconsideration is how long they have. And I haven't heard if they've done that or not, but
Okay, I was just curious.
Was that IMC or a different?
Yeah. Okay. All right. And everybody left us, so.